This is topic 12-2, solving systems of equations by graphing, day 2. So our essential question is going to be, how can I solve systems of equations by graphing? It's going to be very similar to what we did yesterday, except today we're going to have tables instead of just a system of equations. Our BuildWork problem today is another review problem about inequalities. So our question is, which inequality is represented by the graph? So let's notice that we have a dashed line. That means it will not have an equal to sign, and I'll check. None of these have an equal to. And it's also shaded above. If it's shaded above and dashed, that means that we must have greater than. That will knock out F and will also knock out H. Next we'll look and see our y-intercept is at a positive 2, and both G and J have a y-intercept of positive 2. I'll notice that this is a decreasing line, so our slope is negative. And sure enough, in both of these, we have a negative slope. So now your choice is you can either solve for the slope or you can use the slope that's given. So I'm going to use the slope that's given. G says I have a slope of a negative 2/3. That means I should go down 2 and to the right 3. So from my y-intercept, if I go down 2 and to the right 3, 1, 2, 3, I am no longer, that point is not on my line. It's in the shaded area, but it's not on the line, and I'm trying to draw the line. So G is not correct. If I look at my other one that has a slope of negative 3/2, so that's down 3 and to the right 2, and sure enough, that is the slope of this line. So J is my correct answer. Here are the answers to assignment 12-1. If you need more time, please pause the recording now. So what do we know about solutions to systems of equations? The solution to a system of equation is where they intersect or where they cross. They can have several different types of solutions. There are 3. We can have one solution, we can have no solutions, or we can have infinitely many solutions. One solution is when we have our lines and they intersect at one point. No solution is we have lines that do not touch, they are parallel. Infinitely many solutions means we have the exact same line graphed 2 or more times. So our first problem is 4x plus y equals 3, and then we're given a table. So to solve this system of equations from yesterday, we determined we must graph them. And in order to graph them, we need it into slope-intercept form. So we need to get this equation, our first one, into y equals mx plus b form. So let's take it, 4x plus y equals 3, and we want to solve for y. So we'll box in our y, and the goal is to get y by itself, and then something times x plus something. Draw our line. The 3 is already on the right side away from the y, so we drop it down to the last blank because it doesn't have an x. The 4x, we're going to move it to the other side by subtracting 4x from both sides. That means that when I subtract 4x from both sides, I will have a negative 4 in front of that x. And lastly, there's a understood 1 in front of the y, so we're going to divide everything by that 1 in order to be able to get the y by itself. So simplified, we have y equals a negative 4 over 1x, and then 3 over 1 is 3. So from this equation, we get our slope is negative 4 over 1, and our y-intercept is 3. We can now graph y-intercept of 3. We start off at the origin and go up 3. Here's our beginning point. Our slope is negative, so the top number tells us to go down 4. The bottom number tells us to the right 4. So from our y-intercept, down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and to the right 1. And then down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, to the right 1. Down 4, and to the right 1. I need the opposite side, so we'll go up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and to the left 1, doing the opposite. Now we can connect our dots to get our graph. This is our first graph. I'll call it Y1, signifying it's the first graph. To get my second graph, however, it's in a table. I'm going to have to use stat in order to get my equation. So get your calculator. We're going to turn the calculator on. Hit your stat button. And we want to edit what's in our list. Remember, our X goes in our L1 and our Y goes in L2. So in X, we're going to put -4, -1, 0, and 2. Let's press enter after each number. And L2, we're going to go in -16, -7, -4, and a +2. And I lost my list. So let me go back. Edit. There we go. -16. I got that one. -7. -4. +2. Before we go on, I want to check my numbers. So I input the number wrong. Everything else is going to be wrong. From there, I'll hit the stat button again. This time we want to calculate, and we want to calculate a linear regression so that we can get our equation in slope-intercept form. Let's scroll on down to calculate and press enter. This tells us that our equation is y equals 3 is our a, x, and then our b is a -4, so I'll put a -4. That means m is equal to 3, our slope is equal to 3, our y-intercept is -4. We'll make the slope look like a fraction, so we know that it's positive, so the top number is how far we go up, bottom number is how far we go to the right when we're graphing. So we're going to start with our y-intercept, start at the origin, we'll go down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We have our -4 beginning point, and now up 3, 1, 2, 3, to the right 1. Can already see where a solution is. Up 3, to the right 1. I'm going to go ahead and keep following the pattern. Down 3 to the left 1, because it is important that you know what the graph looks like, even though we have already found the solution. So the point that is on both lines is where x is -1 and our y is -1. I'm sorry, our x is a +1. We're on the positive side of the x-axis, and our y value is -1. So now we're going to try problem number 2. This time we have, again, 2 tables, so we have to find the equation for both. Start with the top one. Our x's go in L1, our y's go in L2. Bring the calculator back, go to stat, and edit. I want to clear out what's in there, so I'll go up, hit clear, press enter. Go to my L1, go up, hit clear, press enter. Now I have a clear table. We'll type in -2, press enter, 1, press enter, 3, press enter, and 6, press enter. Scroll over to the right. We have a -10, press enter, -1, press enter, 5, press enter, and 14. Check my numbers again. Now my numbers are correct. We'll hit stat, scroll to calculate, number 4. If you don't have a TI-84, at this point you should just be able to hit enter. But since we're doing a TI-84 plus, we have to scroll down to calculate. We now have our equation. So our first equation is y equals 3x minus 4. Looks very familiar. From this equation, we know the slope is a 3/1, and our y-intercept is at -4. Let's go ahead and graph our first one. Y-intercept at -4. So on the y-axis, we're going down to -4. Our slope is positive, so that's up 3 and to the right 1. So up 3 to the right 1, Up 3 to the right 1, up 3 to the right 1. We'll continue to go throughout the entire graph. Go back to the y-intercept and do the opposite, going down 3 to the left 1 so we can fill in the opposite side. Connect our line, our points to get our line. Now we'll go to our second table. So X is going to L1, Y is going to L2. Use the calculator again. We'll hit Stat, Edit. Another way you can do this is to type over the numbers. You just have to be careful that if you're typing over the numbers that you are replacing all the numbers. Otherwise, again, you're going to end up with the wrong answer because your data that you put in was incorrect. So I'm typing over the numbers. I have a -9 for L2, a -6, a -3, and a +2. So again, before I go on, let me check my numbers. Numbers are correct, so we'll hit Stat, scroll to Calculate, number 4, scroll down to Calculate, and press Enter. This tells us our equation for our second set of data is y equals a is 1, so we have 1x, and then b is a -6, so -6. Our slope is equal to 1. Let's put it over 1 so we know what that looks like. Top number tells us to go up, bottom number is to the right. Our y-intercept is at -6, so we're going to start off on the y-axis at -6. Start at the origin and go down 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's the beginning point for our second equation, and now our slope is up 1 to the right 1. We will fill in the entire grid following that pattern. Then go back to the y-intercept and do the opposite to get the opposite side. So down 1 to the left 1, and I found my intersection point. Down 1 to the left, but I'm going to continue on to fill in my pattern. We see our solution where the 2 points intersect. So the x-coordinate is to the left 1, that's a -1. The y-coordinate is down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, down 7. So our intersection point is at -1, -7, because I went down. Again, this is a point that is on both lines. I could look in my table and see, do they both have this point? Unfortunately, they do not. They skip those numbers, but sometimes they might show up just in the table. Okay, problem number 3. Again, we have 2 tables, so we're going to use our calculator to come up with our equations. And our first one, x go in L1, y go in L2. So hit Stat. We want to edit. This time I'm going to go ahead and clear it out by arrowing up and hitting clear. Arrow up, hit clear. Now I can type in without worrying. -2, 0, 2, 4. Scroll over, we got 1, 2, 3, and 4. Press enter. Let me check my numbers. Should always check those numbers before hitting Stat. Going to calculate. Number 4. Scroll down to calculate. Press enter. We have a decimal for our A value. If you do not recognize what the decimal is, go ahead and write this information down. Y equals, we know that our slope is 0.5 and our y-intercept is 2. Some of you are going to recognize that 0.5 is 1/2 as a decimal, but in case you don't, type in 0.5 and then hit math, enter, enter, and you will get your fraction of 1/2. So our equation is 1/2 x plus 2. We have our slope of +1/2 and our y-intercept of 2. Let's graph. Start off at the origin. We'll go up 2. Top number on the slope is how far we go up. Bottom is how far we go to the right. So up 1 to the right 2. Up 1 to the right 2. Continue to follow this pattern. And down 1 to the left 2. And follow the pattern to fill out the left side. Connect our dots to make our line. And now we're going to find our equation using our second table. Stat, edit, let's type in some numbers, and clear, press enter. Now we're going to type in -3, -1, 2, and 4. In L2, we want what is in our table. So we have a -12, -6, 3, and 9. Just check the numbers. And now we hit stat, count, number 4. Scroll down to calculate because we want it to calculate. And we get y equals 3x minus 3. This tells us our slope is 3/1 and our y-intercept is -3. So let's graph. We'll start off at the origin. Y-intercept is negative, so we're going to go down 3. Here's our beginning point. Slope is a positive 3/1, so that's up 3 to the right 1. Up 3 to the right 1. We have found our solution, but keep going. Up 3 to the right 1. And down 3 when I go back to my y-intercept and to the left 1. It's important that you also graph because your question could be asked in the form of identify the graph, not just the point. From our graph, we can see though that our x-coordinate is 2 to the right, so it's positive, and our y-coordinate is up 3, so that'll be a positive 3. Our point, that is the solution on both lines, is 2, 3. Our last is a review again from previous, is to tell whether the ordered pair is a solution to your system. So again, we are given a point and we want to find out, is it a solution on both of these? So we are going to substitute it into the equation to see if we get a true statement. So instead of x, we're going to put a 2. And instead of y, we're going to put a 1 because we get that from our point. The 2 is equal to x and 1 is equal to y. And the question is, when I plug that in, does it come out to be -4? That's a question mark. So we're going to put it in the left-hand side of your equation. Type it in exactly how you see it. -3, parenthesis, to close it, plus 2, parenthesis, 1, close it off, and then press enter. We do get a -4, so -4 is equal to -4. That is a true statement. So we do know that that point is on our first line. Now we need to check, is that point on our second line? Our second line is x plus y equals 3. X is equal to 2. Y is equal to 1. We want to see 2 plus 1. 3 does equal 3. That is true. And so this is a yes. That means that 2, 1 is a solution. So today our question again was, how can I solve systems of equation using graphing? And the difference between today and yesterday is that we had tables. So the first thing we have to do if I want to do this is we have to use the stat on the calculator to get the equation. So when given tables, use stat on the calculator to get the equation of a line. Okay, then we're going to graph each line using the slope, which is our m, and the y-intercept. And the solution is where they intersect. Okay, this concludes topic 12-2 If you would like a little hint on one of the problems for homework, stick around. Otherwise, you may stop the recording. So number one, they give you two tables, but they already give you the equations. And remember, you have to have the same point on both lines in order for it to be a solution. So you're going to check to see, is -2, where x is -2 and y is -2, is that on the same line? Is that on both lines? I'm sorry. The one I wanted to look at is problem number 2, because the equations look a little bit different. That top equation, the 3x equals y plus 4, we need to get it in the y equals form, or get it with the y by itself. So notice I have a y and a plus 4 on both sides. I want to get my y by itself, so I'm still going to graph. I want to end up with y by itself. To get the y by itself, I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. When I subtract 4 from both sides, the 3x is already there. Nothing happens to it. I can't subtract 4 from it because it has an x, so we get 3x minus 4. Then the number that is in the box with the y is an understood 1, so I could divide both things by a positive 1. And that will leave me with 3x minus 4 equals to y. To get in the form we're used to, we just move the y, we switch sides. Y equals 3x minus 4. Now this is in the form of y equals mx plus b. Okay, good luck with your assignment tonight.